Imagine waking up one day and learning you are Russian. You do not speak Russian. You have never lived in Russia. That morning, you think you are going to school. Same bus, same backpack, same normal day. But instead, you end up on a plane to Moscow. That is what happened to Sofia and Daniel. Sofia and Daniel were born into a family they believed was Argentinian. Later, they lived in Slovenia. At school, they studied with other international children. At home, they spoke Spanish. Argentina was part of their family story. Russia was not. There were no Russian words at the dinner table. No Russian relatives visiting the house. No Russian neighbors who seemed connected to the family. Russia was not part of daily life. But they were Russian. They just did not know it yet. Then, in 2024, they were put on a flight to Moscow. According to the Kremlin, that is when they learned the truth. Their family was not what they thought it was. Their mother and father were Russian spies, not movie spies, not people in dark coats running through train stations. They were something quieter. They were called illegals, deep cover spies. And the children had been part of the cover story without knowing it. This is Terra Chrono, and this is the story of people whose disguise was not just a fake name. Their disguise was an entire life. First, we need one word: illegal. In normal life, illegal means against the law. But in spy work, an illegal is something more specific. It means a spy living in another country with no official link to their own government. They do not work at an embassy. They do not say they are diplomats. They do not have an office with a flag outside. They are supposed to look like normal people. A business owner, a student, a parent, a neighbor, someone you would forget 5 minutes after passing them on the stairs. That is the point. The best cover does not look exciting. It looks boring. The Dultsev family looked boring enough. In Slovenia, Artem Dultsev and Anna Dultseva did not use those names. They lived as Ludwig Gish and Maria Rosa Maya Munoz. They said they were Argentinian. They lived in Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia. They had 2 children. They had companies. They had routines. They spoke Spanish at home. To other people, they looked like a quiet family. And that is what made the cover strong. A fake must answer many small questions. Where are you from? Why did you move here? What language do you speak at home? Where do your children go to school? A weak cover breaks under those questions. A strong cover turns those questions into normal answers. The children made the story feel even more real. That is the hardest part. The children were not spies. They were children. But their lives helped the cover look true. Then, in December 2022, Slovenian authorities arrested the parents. The ordinary family was not ordinary. The Argentinian story was not the full truth. The children were separated from their parents while the case moved forward. Then came 2024. A large prisoner exchange took place between Russia and the West. The Dultsev family was sent back toward Russia. Their flight went from Ankara to Moscow. According to the Kremlin, that is when the children learned the truth. They were Russian. Their parents were Russian. Their family story had been built for spy work. When they landed in Moscow, Vladimir Putin met them at the airport. He greeted the children in Spanish, not because it sounded fancy, because they did not speak Russian. Think about that. Their parents had served Russia so deeply that their own children came home as foreigners. This was not a mistake in the system. This was the system working. The illegals program did not begin with them. It reaches back into Soviet history. The idea was simple. If a spy works at an embassy, other governments know where to watch. Embassies are watched. Cars are followed. Meetings are counted. But a person with no clear link to Russia is harder to see. They can move slowly. They can make friends. They can learn who matters. They can wait. Waiting is a big part of this story. Most spy movies move fast. This kind of spy work moves slowly. An illegal may spend years becoming believable. They learn a language, they learn local habits, they learn what people eat, how people joke, how people complain, and what small mistakes make someone seem foreign. They build a life that can survive normal questions, not police questions. Normal questions, questions from a neighbor, questions from a teacher, questions from a child. If the cover must last for years, it cannot be only a lie. It has to become a routine. Wake up. Go to work, buy groceries, pay bills, take the children to school, smile at the neighbor, send a report when needed, then do it again tomorrow. That is why this is not only a story about stealing secrets, it is a story about giving your life to a secret. The United States saw this clearly in 2010. The FBI called the case Operation Ghost Stories. After years of watching, the FBI arrested 10 Russian agents in the United States, the U.S. Justice Department said some of them were doing long-term deep cover work for the Russian Federation. The FBI called them SVR illegals. SVR means Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service. It is one of the organizations that took over parts of Soviet spy work after the KGB was broken apart. These people had homes, they had marriages, some had children, they had jobs, they had friends. They looked ordinary. The FBI later said they had not collected classified documents. That means they had not stolen top-secret papers. But that does not mean the mission was small. Their job was patient. One part of the work was called spotting and assessing. That means looking for people who might be useful later. Maybe not today, maybe in 10 years. A student might become a government worker. A researcher might enter an important field. A friend might one day know someone powerful. So the illegal waits. They meet people. They listen. They report. They build small doors that might open later. This is why the program can take years. It is not about one big scene. It is about a life that keeps going. One of the couples arrested in 2010 lived under the names Donald Heathfield and Tracy Foley. Their real names were Andrei Bezrukov and Elena Vavilova. They had been trained in the Soviet system. They later worked for modern Russia. Their sons, Tim and Alex, grew up with the family story. They believed their parents were who they said they were. Then the FBI came to the house. The sons learned that their parents were Russian spies. They learned that the names they knew were cover names. They learned that their family history was not the history they had been given. This is the part that makes the illegals program so strange. A spy can lie to a target. An illegal lies to a whole life. To the neighbor, to the school, to the bank, to friends, sometimes even to their own children. For the government, the illegal is a tool. For the spy service, the illegal is a long project. But for the child, the illegal is just mom, just dad. That is why the cost is so heavy. The child is not choosing the mission. The child is growing up inside it. The Soviet Union ended in 1991. The flag changed. The old government disappeared. The KGB was broken apart. But hidden lives do not end as neatly as governments. Some people were already abroad. Some cover stories were already built. Some families were already part of the story. So the old country ended. But some of the lives built for it kept going. That is why these cases matter. The Dultsev case did not happen in an old Cold War film. The parents were arrested in 2022. The children learned the truth in 2024. This happened in the age of smartphones, international schools, and digital records. The world had changed. The idea had not disappeared. This does not mean every quiet family is hiding a spy story. Most people are exactly who they say they are. But these cases show something unsettling. A passport can tell one story. A family can tell another. A child can grow up inside both. The Soviet Union ended, but not every life built for it ended on the same day. Some agents did not go home. They stayed married. They kept their jobs. They raised children. They became neighbors. And maybe that is the strangest part of the illegals program. If your parents were part of it, you might not know. You might not speak Russian. You might never have been to Russia. You might think your life is exactly what it says on your passport. Until one day someone tells you, you are Russian.